the White House this week, President Trump wasn't the first to greet world leaders arriving for the historic meeting with Ukraine's Zelensky. It was his chief of protocol, Ambassador Monica Crowley. Flanked by American flags, Crowley welcomed European presidents and prime ministers alike, making sure every moment and every symbol carried the full weight of U.S. diplomacy. It's the same steady hand that helped orchestrate President Trump's Alaska summit with Vladimir Putin just days earlier. As the nation's top protocol officer, Crowley is charged with ensuring America's power and discipline are projected clearly on the world stage. From White House arrivals to global summits and soon for America's 250th anniversary and beyond. So what does it take to pull off these high-stakes affairs? We thought we'd find out. Ambassador Monica Crowley joins me now. Ambassador Crowley, we're so excited to get you on My View. And I think we all want to know, what does it take? Talk about the planning that goes into something, especially something so last minute, like what we saw happen on Monday. There's etiquette, there's protocol. Tell us how you put it all together so seamlessly and so last minute.
Well, it's great to be with you, Laura. Thank you so much. And my deepest gratitude to President Trump for nominating me for this position. It's the greatest honor of my life to be able to represent our greatest president and the United States of America to the rest of the world. And really, that's what this position involves. I am blessed with an exceptional team, and we all work together to make sure that the trains run on time for these diplomatic engagements. The Office of the Chief of Protocol, Laura, is all about creating the best possible environment for the most robust, effective diplomacy for the president, the vice president, and the Secretary of State. So in this case for Monday, and 3 days prior to that for the Alaska summit between President Trump and President Putin, we literally had 72 hours between Putin and Zelensky, Laura. And as you know, President Trump is superhuman in terms of his strength and his energy. So we were coming back on Air Force One, and at about 2 a.m. From Alaska back to Washington, at about 2 a.m., we learned that the president had not been resting at all, of course. He had been on the phone with European leaders, and we learned then that President Zelensky was coming to Washington at 1 p.m. on Monday. So we essentially had 36 hours to put together a massive summit in the White House with 6 heads of state or government and 2 European leaders beyond that. So a grand total of 8 world leaders. And it was a very heavy lift, but this is what we do. And we wanted to make sure that President Trump and President Zelensky had the best opportunity for a successful meeting to try to achieve peace, because that's what President Trump is all about. He is all about achieving peace in the worst conflicts around the world.
Well, you guys pulled it off seamlessly. It was a beautiful moment, I thought, to see, as we're seeing there in this video, all of these European leaders there standing shoulder to shoulder with President Trump. You mentioned that 72 hours prior to this, though, you had a big summit in Alaska. There's so much more that goes into it than just making it look good. Ambassador, talk about the fact that this is also about projecting American strength. It's peace through strength that we're trying to achieve. So in going into this Alaska summit, what kind of strategy did you have in terms of optics? Because the optics ultimately really do matter in a situation like this.
Yeah, so the Office of the Chief of Protocol, Laura, works very closely with the White House teams as well. And like I said, I have an extraordinary team. We all work hand in glove to make sure that the imagery, the logistics, down to the smallest details of floral arrangements and microphones, the red carpet that you see there, President Trump and President Putin walking on, we make sure that every detail is taken care of in terms of setting the stage for this kind of diplomacy to actually succeed. And it is about projecting American strength, American power. It is about presenting the United States and, of course, the president, who is our chief diplomat, in the best possible light so that they have the best opportunity to succeed in the discussions that follow their arrival, the greet, and then, of course, their meetings. It's a really, really important role. And Laura, it's not my job to place judgment on any of these these leaders. It's my job to make sure they feel welcomed, that they and their delegations have everything that they need in terms of assets and resources so that they can do their jobs well in terms of negotiating with the United States.
Whose idea was the B-2? I mean, I'm going to say that was President Trump with all the fighter jets coming through, Ambassador. We saw that moment, and I think so many people said, America is back. But did you have a hand in that? Because I thought that was one of the coolest moments.
Well, I can't take any credit for that. No, that was the White House. That was the president. And you can see President Putin's reaction because it was quite a surprise, certainly to him and to everybody on the ground. But what an incredible display of American strength and power. And it wasn't just the B-2 in the air, Laura. We also had F-22s flanking the B-2, and we had F-22s on the ground. So when President Trump invited President Putin into the Beast to take the short ride to the meeting space, President Putin saw B-2s on the ground as well as F-2s on the ground. So it was quite a flex. And again, Laura, this is all part of diplomacy. This is all part of conveying the message of American strength and the position of strength from which President Trump is engaging in American diplomacy.
Yeah, we love a good flex for America. That will take all day, every day. Look, as though you don't have enough going on, the president has put you in charge as the administration's representative for America's 250th birthday, for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and for the 2028 Olympics, which we're finally hosting back here in the United States of America. Tell me what is to come. What are you most excited about? How do you get ready for all of these big events? These are huge. And by the way, can we just acknowledge how appropriate it is that Donald J. Trump is president of the United States for all three of these things to happen? It's so great.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, that is the thing I am most excited about, is to have President Trump presiding over these three major events. And as we know, President Trump heroically brought the FIFA World Cup next year, the finals, and he also brought the Olympic Games to the United States back in his first term. And the president has routinely said, you know, I think 2020 had to happen that way so that I could be president now during all of these incredible events, including America's 250th birthday. So what I can say, Laura, is that we have some incredible events planned over the next year. We just had Army 250 and celebrated the Army's big birthday. We are going to celebrate the Navy's 250th, the Marine Corps' 250th, and then, of course, starting next year, it is just going to be wall-to-wall events to celebrate our great country, including starting this fall. The National Archives is going to have the first of its kind museum on the Mall in Washington, D.C. that is AI-driven, so you can have your own personalized museum experience. So many cool things coming up, not just in D.C., but Philadelphia, New York, Boston, and every state around the country. So I encourage everybody, Laura, to visit America250.org so you can find out what is happening nationally, but also what's happening in your neck of the woods, so we can all come together as a country. And there have been so many divisions, but we're looking forward to this anniversary to unite the country on patriotism, shared values, and this renewed sense of civic pride.
It's so exciting. We're so happy that you are there to be part of all of it. Ambassador Monica Crowley, thank you so much for joining us on My View, and we look forward to all the things you have coming up.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.